Will you ever be satisfied? That's the question that's posed by this live stream. If ice cream bar is not enough to satisfy you, what is? There was one really funny moment in Death Note. Was not very much comedy in that series at all. Very little funny about Death Note. But the one funny moment in Death Note was when somebody's staring sort of through L. And Al says, "Why are you staring at me?" "It's because I'm the only one eating cake, huh? Would you like some?" Of course, that has nothing to do with that. Nothing at all to do with the cake. So, just for your reference.
Getting changed to get changed again. My clothes are inside.
You look comfy.
Thanks, babe. It's gotten warmer out.
Everybody knows that's the most important thing to be in life is comfy.
Comfy? Yeah.
So originally I just got back from the weed store and I would guess yes, Rain. I was thinking that when I was watching it. I was thinking, I bet the author of this is INTP. Interesting question. So on the way back from the weed store, we stopped at the Hollywood Cemetery Forever. Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which is home to some famous people's graveyards. But, I mean, graves. But it's not very well organized. Like, you can't find anything. There's no map or anything. One of the more interesting animes I've watched. I think it got a little convoluted towards the end. That part's open to interpretation with this mom. It's not clear what's being referred to there. I think it should generally be perceived as a blanket condemnation of your lack of satisfaction. Well, being satisfied is a state of being that's temporary, but being satisfied means that you've been made permanently satisfied. So what we got here is what's it called? It's this. You got a beta quadra person at last. So anyway, we made some little video snippets and took some pictures at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Who wants to guess which two famous people's graves we saw? We saw the grave of two famous people at the Hollywood Now you kind of got to rely on recommendations from YouTube to people. So, no, we didn't see Bogey or Bacall. Are they buried there? No, interestingly, there's one person who's fairly easy to find at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and that's Judy Garland. So we did see Judy Garland's pavilion. She has a whole pavilion to herself. And the other strange celebrity name that we discovered there, of all people, is Estelle Getty. Estelle Getty, Sophia of the Golden Girls. We found her gravesite as well. Those are the only two famous people we found, or celebrities, I guess I should say. Hi there, darling.
Hi there, handsome.
We're all dressed up now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I like this weed. I think I said it like 3 times.
Well, we always know best whether we really like the weed when we get it home and smoke it. It's good. I like it too.
Oh, God.
What does NINE look like in the 5th slot? TI in the 3rd is easier to answer. TI in the 3rd values fairness a lot, but is less likely to notice it when the unfairness doesn't apply to them. TI in the 3rd, as far as the skills test goes, you get a wide range of results on that. My friend Corey, he was never very strongly TI, but he did care a lot about fairness. Oh, yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. It's like, Rachel is not necessarily going to be great about answering some lengthy deductive reasoning problem, but if I said something 4 months ago that was a lie, and I say something today that reveals, in fact, that I had contradicted myself and that was a lie, she'll remember that for sure. It's like, I'm quite confident that I've never lied around Rachel and gotten away with it.
That's a good thing.
For sure. You just difference between IXFJ and IXFP that I've noticed is that catching of inconsistencies. Yeah. And I like that stuff. It tastes good.
I do too. That was a good deal. I'm so spitting.
I'd go so far as to say it's a bit hybridy, even though it says it's an indica.
Yeah.
It's got a nice kind of bit of vinyl tubing,
Yeah.
kind of sativa-ish taste to it too. I'm gonna get myself a root beer. Do you want one?
Please.
We'll be right back, everybody. The thing is,
Thank you.
virtually and I have been talking about going to this cemetery for a long time because
Yeah.
we pass it on the way to and back from the weed store every time we go to the weed store.
It did not disappoint, I have to say.
It was quite an interesting place. It's very haphazard. Like like they just put them wherever. They put the grave sites wherever.
Yeah, wherever. Like we stumbled upon what's her name? Elaine Getty?
B, if and only if A and C. No, we can't conclude not A. What level of TI could distinguish that? I think most third slot would have trouble with that. I would suggest most third slot would have trouble with that. So, Rachel, if I were to ask you, B, if and only if A and C.
B, if and only if.
A and C, and not B. Can we conclude not A?
No.
No, but why do you think that's the case?
Because if and only if A, B.
And C.
Yeah, A and C.
Then B.
Yeah. So it had to have the C also. It can't only be A.
Right. Well, yeah, it's true that
but
I think you understand why, but you're explaining it kind of weird. But yeah.
The only reason I can actually answer that right now is because I was listening to you and Chloe go over a.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, Rain, I'm teaching my student Chloe that stuff right now, and so Rachel is often in here when I'm doing my work, and that includes my coaching logic. I mean, teaching logic. I'm trying to. Oh, I know what I need to do. I'm in the wrong app. That's the problem. Google Photos.
Oh, my kitty delight. I feel like kitty delight, like kitty delight. Oh, preening.
Aren't they all up there already? Maybe. Okay, so I'm sorry for the delay here as I was looking at my pictures. I was hoping to get my pictures up on Google Photos so I could share the pictures with you guys. But they're there, I think. I'm going to see Google Photos.
Since you've been gone, is that the one?
Which one? What are you talking about?
Kelly Clarkson. I'm trying to think of the Kelly Clarkson song that you like.
I don't know. There was a Kelly Clarkson song we heard on the radio the other day. And I have to tell you, I liked it. It's true. Dude, you are like 100 years old. I am unlike 100 years old by 51 years, sir. Bula Shah Jr. I am 100 years old. I am, in fact, only 49. How old are you? Are these people who think it's all right to silence and deplatform others for hateful ideologies? It's high F, one way or the other. High FE. More likely it's FI. FE DOMs and FI tool function. FI DOMs to a certain extent. Maybe FI third. They'll pile onto that shit. It's an FI thing.
You're such a proud. Look at you. on the catwalk.
One thing that you can include in FI is harm prevention. FI is part of how you decide what to prevent harm to. I love my child, so I'm going to make a lot of effort to prevent harm to my child. I don't care about that leaf in the yard, so I won't put any time into defending it from getting harmed, right? I'm unfamiliar with Blake, author of Stellar Maze website, so I have no thoughts upon him. Would you like to share your thoughts about him? I'd be happy to hear them and respond accordingly, even though I don't know anything about it. Blake, Songs of Innocence, Prolific and Devouring. I don't know what that means. I am confused by your words. I am confused again. I don't understand what you mean. Oh, these people. I tell you. Let me tell you something. Oh, these people. Hi, Lijo. Hey, look, everybody. It's Lijo. She's come to enjoy our company today, to share her wits and witticisms, to share her wisdoms and truths, to speak of things we've not heard of before, and to remind us of things we have, to harvest in the springtime and plant in the winter. This is Lijo. Here she is. Welcome. That's the formal greeting that you're supposed to give for Lijo every time she comes.
Ooh,
Yeah, she has a formal greeting.
that is very formal.
I don't know. How did you get a formal greeting, by the way, Lijo? You never answered that question. I asked you before. How does one go about getting a formal greeting assigned to them? But and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. I don't know how you got such a formal introduction. You know, must have some sort of trick that I'm not aware of. Like maybe your superpower is instant formal introduction. You want to prank call that phone number? What phone number? AK4077. Harry Mural describes ISFPs as having a more archetypal abstract identity to FINI as opposed to INFPs that identity is more based on SI specifics. I agree with that, Bubble Puppy. I agree with what that person said. Harry Mural is right about that. Harry Mural must have studied some of what I say about NI and SI, or at least agree with what I say about it. Who's Harry Mural? Never heard of him. Oh, okay. He says some smart things. He seems to have a good understanding of my wife looks beautiful when I'm drunk. Does that conclude that we all just project our own feelings and emotions onto others?
Oh.
My wife looks beautiful when I am drunk. I think that means you're an asshole. I'm pretty sure. I could be 100% sure, but I could be ass wipe. You know, it's hard to say. You'd have to provide more information for me to type you more precisely as either asshole or asswipe. It's hard to say. Sir is what saw, sir. Sir, yeet. Yeet. I need something to throw. So yeah, I do agree with the statement the Bubble Puppy quotes Harry Morell as providing, which is ISFPs do have a more archetypal or abstract identity than do INFPs. That doesn't make them, more intuitive or anything like that. That's the problem. We try to do statements like that. That's when we run into problems. The statement right there that they have a more archetypal or abstract identity than an INFP is absolutely true. There, that's a nice, clear comparison between types about something you can meaningfully compare about them. SI runs strong in both the SE polar types.
May I have that pillow, please?
Yes, you may have this pillow. With my hand, I will give it to you. Would you like another pillow too?
Sure.
There you have now 2 pillows. Elijah asked for advice for how to sound SF cool in 2021. What do you mean by SF cool? So effing cool? What do you mean San Francisco cool?
What is San Francisco cool?
What part of whose system do I not agree on? I don't know. I don't remember negating anything in particular. When I hear the name Mural, it makes me think of Moral, the guy in Hunter x Hunter. The guy in Hunter x Hunter with the big pipe who says, "Deep purple."
You do so good. You could be moral.
I could. If all I had to say was Deep Purple, I could do it. Yeah, I don't know. Harry system. Well, Beulah Shaw Jr., this is one of those circumstances where SI defeats NI. NI hears coronavirus. SI knows Rachel's just smoking weed.
Someone else thinks that I'm so surprised how many times I get that I have coronavirus. It's just, I don't know.
Right, she's got marijuana coughing virus.
Yeah.
Harry is CPT. I think that's Compton. Just because I'm from the CPT, punk police are afraid of me. That's what they say in that song anyway. I'm just quoting the song. I'm not saying it's true of me. I don't think police are afraid of me at all. When says, Mom, I don't poo-poo COVID. I poo-poo our response to it. Our immune systems are like any other thing in our ontology. Use it or lose it. I used to speak Spanish a lot better than I do now. But
I mean,
I agree, Ethan McDonald. The thing is this. I just am getting over a little cold I just got. It was a 1 or 2 day cold. Really minor, quick, easy to get over.
Yeah, you sound better.
Was it COVID? I have no idea. But the thing is this. I've not really been exposed to much of anything. I think my immune system is it's atrophying. It is correct that we should just treat it like any other virus that we would normally deal with, which is recommend you stay home if you're sick. Maybe even add the additional provision that, people wear masks out if they think they might be contagious or something. But acknowledge that it's not significantly different enough from the other viruses we've encountered time and time again throughout our history and just dealt with normally, that we ought to behave like this in response to it. It's not that I'm saying I'm poo-pooing COVID or that I'm saying COVID is not significant, doesn't kill people or anything like that. I'm saying we shouldn't treat it as though it were a dragon when it's just another lizard. There's no reason to think it's a dragon. It's a lizard, same as the flu, same as the cold, same as lots of things that kill people when they have multiple pre-existing conditions and are 87 years old. You mean you have to swallow a gas station doorknob handle to get COVID? That seems unlikely condition. So that's the thing about COVID. I have never denied COVID's existence. I've never said it's a hoax. I've never tried to pretend like it's a conspiracy or anything else. I've always said, oh, wait a second. Let's stop being insane for a second and compare COVID actually against other things that happen like this, other viruses that spread around. Let's also talk about what it means to quarantine, why we do that, and what it's for. It's to stop the virus from getting out of a given area. Once it's escaped and gone global, it makes no more sense to quarantine. So look, I am not an agendaist of any sort about COVID. I don't think anything crazy about it. I agree with everybody about what it is. And so I'm pointing out, this is another lizard. It's not a dragon. We should treat it like a lizard, not a dragon. Get ready for this. I've seen Queen's Gambit claim he's ENFJ. Hilarious. It's like there's a bell curve. If he's an ENFJ and there's a bell curve of ENFJs, he's like down here.
It's like another like bait thing, you know? It could be like a baity way to try to get you to like make another video about it.
Maybe, yeah. I don't have that much attention for the guy. So there's a certain amount of reality that we have to accept. You know, like people are going to get hurt, people are going to get sick, people are going to die. That's reality. They're going to die from lots of different things. That's reality. If something does pose an extraordinary threat of death, then that means that any given person who encounters that thing should have a, decent chance of death. Something like COVID is not the case. Well over 99% of people who get it are fine. That's not the sort of thing we shut down stuff on, Makes no sense. Telling you the dragon was not a hoax. It's just, instead of looking at it yourselves, everybody, you've accepted the poet's hyperbole description of it. Jordan Peterson has a good lesson on Jack Kent's book for children. There's no such thing as dragons. Right. Well, here's the thing about Jordan Peterson and dragons and stuff. There's a couple of problems. One, a lot of times affording status of dragon to something legitimizes it more than it deserves. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful about what you give, like terrorism. Terrorism is just another form of criminality. That's all it is. It's murder, it's vandalism, it's blowing shit up or whatever. It's another form of criminality. So we shouldn't treat it as though it were a special kind of monster. Just like we shouldn't treat COVID like it's a special kind of monster. It's another lizard, Terrorists are just lizards that are dogmatic about something other than their self-interest. Like, most criminal elements are going to be dogmatic and or immoral or amoral about something. It's like there's some justification they have for it. They probably have some sort of corresponding ideology that justifies to themselves why they're doing this bad behavior. You can imagine a rapist justifying his behavior by saying things like, women are horrible, they deserve that, or she was asking for it, or various things like that, right? People have their justifications regardless. Very, very rarely, if ever, do you encounter an individual who is, in my mind, thinking to themselves, well, the reason I'm doing this secretly is because I'm evil. I like being evil, and I have no compassion for you or anybody. Like, very few people have that self-identity. It might exist, but it's not common. I can't tell if this obscure YouTuber in Mindham is ENFP or ENTP. His argument to like ENTP, but his philosophy reading is very FI. And he's almost certainly an ENFP. So the thing about dragons is I think that idea of cathartic archetype is an NI thing that SI people don't necessarily relate to. Like, I've never really believed in catharsis and or epiphany. Thanks. I'm rocking the Doc Brown. That's what I'm calling this hairdo. This is the Doc Brown.
Ooh, fluff in it.
Yeah, you gotta fluff it up as much as possible. There. Now I'm ready to save Marty.
Yeah, you are. That's me.
So what is this Mindham? Do they self-identify as a specific type? So anyway, yeah, I think that in general, SI people don't really believe that much in catharsis or epiphany, the singularity of things that change everything around them. I think to the extent that SI types are drawn to that, they're most likely to be SI fourth, ENFP or ENTP. But probably most of all, they're likely to be ENTP is probably the most NI favoring SI type because everything else lines up with NI. I've always wanted to believe in catharsis and epiphany and stuff like that, but I'm too ideationally robust. In other words, I can always think my way out of the singularity, whatever it is. So that's both a strength and a handicap. That's why NI ignoring is required to be an NE Dom, is because every time there's a singularity that would function like an epiphany or catharsis or something like that, you immediately go, yeah, but what about this other thing? And this other thing, this other thing. Eric, would you consider an MBTI tour through Europe with Rachel? Absolutely. All we need to do is find a manager to book a bunch of things that actually pay us money to, so we can afford to do it, and we're there.
Yeah.
We're there. Rachel and I like to travel together.
Yeah, we do.
Evelyn S. interestingly says, I always thought of catharsis as more particular to the person, more SI. I mean, my thought about, like, for example, talk therapy is that talk therapy is useful for people who are seeking and lacking extroverted intuition and or introverted intuition. That it's there to tell people, well, here are some ideas about you that you might not have thought of yet that could influence how you think going forward. But the reality is, if I'm in therapy, I've already thought about all of these ideas. I've thought them all. I've already considered everything he's going to say. He can't possibly say anything to me that I haven't already thought myself. Well, thanks, Bulisha Jr.
Oh, thanks, Bulisha Jr. Oh.
Now I see your icon. I can see it big enough that I can tell that I like it. It's
Cool.
some sort of like old wise man with a beard and a mustachio. What if I had a pill to produce instant and total satisfaction? You mean Adderall? Right. When I think of catharsis, I think of something that happens once too. But the thing is, what's cathartic about it is this sort of collapse of unrealized potentiality, right? Like, God, I've got all this stuff, and then finally something resolves it. Yeah. And then you have catharsis. Thoughts on ambivalence? What kind of ambivalence? You got your moral ambivalence. You got your sexual ambivalence. You got your spiritual ambivalence. You got your physical ambivalence? I'm not sure about that one. Can you have physical ambivalence? Who votes yes on physical ambivalence?
I think you can.
You can be physically ambivalent?
Well, wouldn't SE Polar probably be like, nah?
Maybe. Life Syncrotic brings up a good point. Can you be ambivalent about ambivalence? And if so, is that being more ambivalent than being ambivalent? Why, thanks, Beulah Shaw.
Thank you, Beulah Shaw. Aww.
Moral, sexual, even physical, all the time. Wow, what a wonderful live stream.
Yes, such a wonderful live stream.
Ambivalence, right. That's being equally ambivalent with both hands. Ambivalent extras. I'm ambivalent extras. I'm equally ambivalent with either hand. Gotta put pot in there, else it doesn't work. Yeah. If you don't put pot in this, it doesn't work at all.
No, I'm saying. Although there's enough resin in there.
Club Grizzly asked, is Rachel an ENFJ or an INFJ? If this is your first time around here, that's good instincts. She's actually an INFJ. I wouldn't blame you for thinking she's an ENFJ, but she's actually not. And various people like to challenge her typing and whatever. But, you know.
No.
Like I give a fuck. I got my peachy shirt on. Ain't nobody gonna roll up on me today.
Oh!
I've got 3 cards in front of me like a Magic the Gathering game to protect me from your monster's attack. I've got tennis girl, I've got football guys, and I've got track runners.
And you went to the gravesite of Sophia from the Golden Girls and Judy Garland, so you got those 2 women on your side.
Edmundham is an antinatalist. He thinks it's immoral for humans to breed because of the eventual impossible suffering their offspring can experience. That is such a strange position to have. I mean, I've heard of it before. I'm familiar with the position, but it's like I've never heard of anybody actually ascribing to it. Why? My take on that is for people to make that argument, they have to additionally make the argument that in their own life, their own suffering has outweighed the good. Because otherwise, they're presuming somebody else's life is going to be worse than theirs for no reason, you know? Right, but there's a calculus, right? So, I mean, for example, buying food leads inevitably to spending money. The question is therefore, is it a good deal? Not should I spend money? Right? It's an odd argument. You have to assume that suffering and death necessarily outweigh the positives of life to make that argument. There's no reason to conclude that. I mean, I've experienced suffering and I'm aware that death is inevitable, but that doesn't mean that I would prefer not to have been born. Why is my preference invalid? Well said, horse mumbler. Well said. And that they're not capable of meaningfully improving the lot of their children over their own. It's lazy and defeatist. I tell you what would have been lazy and defeatist, giving up on that bong rip. I stuck to it. I had the persistence and I had the drive to pull it through, even though it was a little bit clogged. I said, no, I'm pulling this. I'm pulling it all the way through, and I did.
I'm so impressed.
I didn't take the lazy self-defeatist way out. I was just like, no, work it, Eric. Work it good. Work your money maker.
So that means you're not ambivalent.
No, I'm not ambivalent. I am unsure, though, about what exactly my money maker is. I do understand that I'm supposed to shake it, but I'm not sure what it is. Does anybody have any advice regarding the location of my money maker? You can't weigh the good against the bad in your life, so you can't actually sustain antinatalism. Well, if you can't weigh the good against the bad in your life, then you can't sustain natalism. Oh, I see what you're saying. You can't sustain antinatalism, right? Okay, that's fine. That's a good way to put it. I mean, either way, the point is, either way, it's self-defeating. No matter what angle of self-defeat you want to highlight is self-defeating. Hi, Lentil. I know you. You're that legume featured in that soup that sometimes people make.
Ooh. I like how upright you got right there.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
Shout out to my moneymaker. I will let my moneymaker know that it has received a shout out as soon as somebody helps me identify what and where it is. I have no argument. Life Syncrotic has no argument. I don't know. I feel like I can weigh the good and the bad because it's subjective to begin with. I just say for me, not for others. Tongue and teeth in your case, I'd say. That's my moneymaker. Okay, fine. Sounds good. There. I've shaken my moneymaker. Hopefully that's adequate for everyone who came to see my moneymaker get shaken. What's his name? What's his name? Bula Shah already put money in my G-string, so I had to shake my moneymaker at that point. After somebody's put money in my G-string, I have to shake my moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's the economics of the club. What about antinatalist policies on offspring will have a highly reduced quality of life? I mean, population control arguments are another matter. That's separate. It's a separate thing. I don't chat on Discord. I'm sorry to hear that. Life Syncrotic had to pawn his moneymaker.
He had to pawn it, huh?
Does my talking fit my acting? You mean, am I hypocritical? I don't think so. Not usually. I'm not usually hypocritical.
No.
I try to practice what I preach.
I think you do.
Hi, Dolan Narkovsky. How are you today? Are you Narkovsky in a way? Dolan Narkovsky.
Phlegmy. That's how I describe my throat.
Okay. Life Syncrotic. Based on the fact that you had to sell your moneymaker and out of concern for you, I am going to transubstantiate this bong rip to you. Okay? Here you go. This is for you, Life Syncrotic. Just let it sink in. Just let it sink in.
Maybe I should try.
I can't really tell because it affected your head, not mine, because it was transubstantiated. But I think that was a bell ringer. Do I hold myself accountable to the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part.
By and large.
Well, especially with me.
I try to, in general. We'll see about that.
You're very humble.
What truth would you like me to hold myself accountable to?
Oh, shiz.
I mean,
in the house.
Here's the thing to remember about truth is that truth is a status that we assign to statements. And some of them we assign for good reason, and some of them sometimes we assign it for poor reason. A lot of people will claim they say the truth, and those truths will be contradictory, exclusive of one another. So it's your foremost challenge is to ascertain what's true. I hold myself accountable to be honest. I'm not dishonest. I don't intend to deceive. So, I think that's probably a better question is like, how highly do you prioritize honesty? Am I a conspiracy type? No. It's like you'd be better served to ask me more specific questions, I guess. I don't know what you consider a conspiracy type to mean exactly, so I'm not prone towards conspiracy theories as they're commonly known or commonly understood to be. Sure. The thing about conspiracies is this. We have the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. Their primary job is, in fact, to conspire in secret to do things or prevent things or whatever, right? So it's ridiculous to think that there's no conspiracy going on at all. For sure, secret organizations tasked to conspire in shady areas on behalf of a national interest that's poorly defined are going to do some questionable things. And it's not unreasonable to think that that some of the unreasonable things that have been articulated as products of the U.S. government, for example, are plausible, but I'm not particularly interested in that subject. Like I don't have big advocacies for you. Like my whole shtick is that I'm not agenda based. I don't have an agenda. I want to address every particular consideration on its own merits with the appropriate frame of reference. Capitalizing on other people's resources is the way to make huge money. Uber, Airbnb, etc. All these companies just using untapped resources. What can we do? Would you like to talk about that? Sure. Well, I think that when you're talking about like Uber and Airbnb or YouTube, YouTube's another example of it, right? I'm an example of somebody who's spent an extraordinary amount of time and energy on YouTube, but and gotten if you're talking about like me getting paid for the amount of time I spent on YouTube, it would be massively below minimum wage. It would just be like 4 cents an hour or something. Hi Tiffany. There's still a room. It's not recorded and uploaded anymore. Basically, YouTube made that impossible. They didn't like that. So I would say that that it's important to remember that the thing that makes it possible for me to make any money on YouTube is the fact that YouTube is a centralized platform that's doing a lot of the work that you don't see, right? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into actually me making a YouTube stream, and most of it has nothing to do with me. Most of it has to do with YouTube's ongoing efforts to build this platform and to do better and more and interesting things with it. Like I've suggested, right this morning, I was saying, what do you call a YouTuber who's really satisfied with life? A content creator. That's funny. It's like I suggested that we have a thing where it puts people's names in the chat on a thing here, and I can check their name to give them points for good chat things. It would be a good idea for YouTube to make that. I would totally like to play that game and have a running tally of chatter points,
That would be fun.
It would be fun to basically, I probably would end up mostly delegating that job to Rachel, you think?
I'd do it.
She would be the points owner. She would learn. She knows what, like, what.
I know.
And the thing is, I'm pretty damn satisfied with life. I really am. I feel a little bit like I'm in this period of doldrums or of stasis, of waiting for something to break, like something's going to open up. I think in part what it has to do with is I'm continuing to grow. I'm like I understand. I believe in myself more than I used to, and so I'm less prone to getting angry about stuff than I used to be, and I'm more reasonable and less combative in general. I'm more interested in incorporating other people's ideas and less interested in being the source of all ideation, or more interested in finding value in other people's where they disagree with me, and less interested in being the gauge of all knowing. So on less angry but still angry, the things I get angry about are more likely to make me sad now. It's like when you feel like confident that you understand something in totality of it, like you really understand a given person who's acting badly, you probably end up feeling sad for them because you recognize that they're acting out of their own pain usually,
Yeah. That's something that as I've matured, I've learned to understand. And I think it's part of it, forgiveness.
It's an FI thing because TI says you're responsible for what you said or did, and my anger is an appropriate response to your irresponsible language or behavior, right? Yeah. TI would say that, but and then get angry in response and say, I'm establishing my boundaries. When you really understand what's going on, you just kind of sigh and go, I'm sorry, I can't help you, because you realize they're suffering. But I mean, it's not necessarily always the case, but it seems like I understand more how that's the case now. I'm more compassionate with people who are difficult than I used to be.
That's good. Me too.
I try to be more inclusive and to talk to people with more respect in general than I used to. It's not always easy because I have bad habits. I have longstanding bad habits of speaking disrespectfully to people. Well, difficult equals combative plus wrong. There's a simple equation for you. Difficult equals combative plus wrong.
I wanted to say I was very impressed with the salesmanship that we got today.
The salesmanship?
Yeah.
What are you talking? When? What?
Well, you were straight out like,
at the weed store.
Spend. Yeah. And instead of being like, well, like this is like all we have, she thought outside the box a little bit and was like, oh yeah, we could sell this bud.
Yeah, she did. Hi, Tech Girl Tiff.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to hear you moved down south. Hope things are going well for you. You were a significant player in the whole ultimately doomed attempt to have a 24-hour-a-day live chat room that uploaded chunks of videos directly to YouTube continually. This is something that Talking with Famous People did have for a while, okay? You know, it was an idea that I had, and I hired Tiffany to make it happen. Do other people find me difficult? Yeah. You talk about it during interviews? Oh, cool. That's cool.
Kind of stuff.
Hey, look at that. Now I make 6 figures. Good job, Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good for you. Good for you. I'm happy. So that's fun. It's fun to know that a project you worked on for me is something that you could talk about in interviews and that helps you get a job. That's good third slot FE. That's rich and chewy nougaty goodness.
What happened?
Just that the project that I hired him to do, he referred to in interviews to help him get a good tech job.
That's great.
I mean, that's juicy third slot FE.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's fine, David Sanderson. Sure. I mean, the thing is, pick, if you want it to debate, have the resolution be, one ought operate as though evolution explains speciation, just to be fair, something like that. Because I'd be happy to debate evolution with anybody, I try cultivating a slightly slow and southernish accent. It's harder to be reflexively discourteous with that tone. And it's been observed to be an advantage in presidential candidates. Tech Girl Tip is not joking. That reminds me, Tech Girl Tip. I have that in my PC quiver. You can't accuse me of being meowist. Like whatever trannyist is. I don't know. Anti-transsexual. I hired one to do my tech work.
Yeah, you say that.
So it's like it's a good quiver in my PC arrow,
Totally.
Abiogenesis? I'm not exactly sure what that means. I have to look it up. I have studied the subject quite a bit of evolution. Oh, well, I don't. Abiogenesis is a necessary and sufficient condition for evolution, but it's not. So I could negate that and try to defeat evolution accordingly. But I don't make that argument, so it doesn't matter. It's basically, it's not relevant to the argumentation landscape, because I don't argue about that particular point. Although I'm quite sure, just on an instinctual, intuitive level, it sounds like bullshit. It sounds like bullshit. Can I summarize the origins of life quickly? I can't summarize the origins of life at all. I don't have any explanation for you. So, unlike evolutionists, I'm telling you the truth. I don't know. I have no idea. Consciousness? It's an ongoing emergent process of a attentional stack. Life came from volcanoes. Well, I mean, I think that, I don't have a good answer to any of these questions. These are big questions that are only meaningfully addressed by breaking them into smaller questions, I think, generally. Things like, what is consciousness, or where did life come from? If we talk about where did life come from, for example, let me do that before I get to the consciousness question. If I were to write a line of code back in the day on my old Apple IIe computer, I could get it to write Eric, right? Or I could get it to write Eric, then the next word Strauss, Eric Strauss, Eric Strauss, Eric Strauss. I could get it to do that too, and go on forever. Now, when you ask the chicken and the egg question, the chicken and the egg question is a silly one, because it's like saying, which came first, the Eric or the Strauss? Well, in this particular instance, the Eric did, but it doesn't matter because it's a loop, right? The question isn't which came first, the Eric or the Strauss. The question is, what started the loop? You know? That was back when I was I guess 6th grade or 7th grade that I got an Apple IIe computer, and I took coding classes one time, the very basic coding classes, you know. So the point about the chicken and the egg question and the loop, well, which thing came first in the loop? Okay, well, okay, horse mumbler, I'll take your word for it. It still doesn't explain the way. It doesn't explain it. That doesn't explain why. There's no explanation of speciation anybody can give me that has been convincing that has anything to do with evolution.
Thank you, Pee-Pee.
So you might call my coding analogy a watchmaker's fallacy. You might, but at the same time, how do we, like, why discount that notion of what started the loop being the more important question entirely? Okay, well, you referenced an example of it. I don't know the exact specifics of what you're talking about, so I don't want to. Give me an example. I mean, tell me more. Find me a loop or something a link on it or something. Okay. Regardless, I don't doubt that with effort we can find a couple of examples of apparent speciation. Apparently, in viruses, you can find some examples of speciation that have occurred. But notice that in none of these instances do we get increased complexity. And that's what the basic claim of evolution is, that you go from less complex to more complex. You don't get fundamental changes in form. Things don't grow up from into complicated things. It just doesn't happen. Bugs stay bugs, dogs stay dogs, So it's like, even if we can come up with an occasional instance of it, the prevailing forces are all back to the genomic mean. That's the important thing to remember. That anything that varies from your genome much is almost certainly a deleterious mutation, which will almost certainly kill you. I mean, I don't disagree that species adapt over time within the range of their genomic plasticity. Okay, I don't deny that, and that it's even conceivable that through hybridization you could come up with a subspecies of a sort that's incompatible with either parent species. But I don't accept that that there's any mechanism been explained as to how we get from meow to meow that actually works. If you do the math on any of the mechanisms, you'll discover it doesn't work. So what's the mechanism? What is the mechanism? It's not mutation, remember? That's been negated as a possibility. It's not mutation. So what's the mechanism? Okay, so hybridization makes some sense as a possible mechanism. Okay, note that I don't think there are many evolutionary scientists who are trying to claim that speciation occurs as a consequence of hybridization. So this is like everything I've read thus far about evolutionary science has said hybridization is proved to be a dead end. But it may be the case that that's older work, that currently, I mean, the thing is, the problem I have is, what is exactly evolution? Define it. You guys define evolution first, and then I'll negate it. What's trying to happen here is I'm trying to say, I don't buy evolution. You're saying, but here's something that's kind of supportive of evolution. Well, is that how people define evolution? I mean, because it's certainly not Darwinian evolution. Do I believe in the Chicxulub impact? You mean the big meteor that hit? Yeah, sure. Why not? Look, I'm open to accepting that there is an explanation for increased complexity over time in the species we see, most of which don't do this hybridization process. Like, we don't. It obviously has to be fairly close to each other to hybridize, right? It's like you're not going to see a shark and a whale hybrid that's half fish, half mammal, are you? But anyway, if in fact you're talking about hybridization leading to speciation, being responsible for speciation, that in fact our traditional definition of species are false, that it's not that species are things that don't mate with each other. You just have to keep trying and fucking things that are kind of similar to you, and eventually you'll find something that you can fuck. Is that what you're saying? Is that's basically what it is, right?
Oh my God.
That so what could we fuck that would that would hybridize. So are we done evolving because there's nothing else that we can fuck? Because it's like you've got to be able to fuck something that's not your species if you're going to hybridize, right? So does it come to a dead end when you cease to be able to fuck things that aren't your species? I want to know more about this theory because this is not evolution you're talking about. This is a new theory, okay? This is a new theory. They shouldn't call it evolution. They should call it the hybridization multi-fuck theory or something. Bestiality theory.
Yes.
Well, there's this shit coming that people are saying, well, actually, it turns out different species can fuck each other and have random babies. And I was like, well, okay, cool then. I mean, but that's not evolution.
Well, it's not.
That's some new thing you're talking about. So I'm still right about evolution. The new, like, fuck anything. Who knows? You might have a baby. World is, okay.
Do what you want. I mean, I was thinking about the women who like fuck those horses.
Yeah, let's just go fuck those horses now. I've been putting it off because I was thinking, well, I have no chance of making a baby. But now that I know, fingers crossed, we could have a centaur. I mean, fuck yeah. Bring on the horses. What makes them distinct populations?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at someone's enjoyment, I guess.
No, Evelyn. You just find another. Yeah, well, okay, but it's from a different couple, so it's like, so okay, Evelyn. Here's the deal. We'll make a deal, okay, to make sure that there'll be kids that can mate. You fuck a horse, and I'll fuck a horse. Make sure that way we'll be sure to fuck different horses. Don't make sure that our horses aren't related to each other, okay? Then our centaur children can mate with each other. Okay? Evelyn, is it a deal? Let's shake on it. We will create the next generation of centaurs. All right, me and Evelyn are the Adam and Eve of centaurs. Queen of Vegas, oh ye of little faith. That's not what evolution says now. They've changed their mind about that. Okay. Oh, Evelyn. I didn't think about that.
What?
CRISPR, Evelyn. We'll use CRISPR on yours to make sure it's a girl. Is the platypus a mutation? I don't think it is. Okay, I accept that. The platypus might be a hybridization. I like the idea of hybridizing with lots of different things. Like all these pedantic half animals walking around acting like they know everything. Some plants can make hybrids. If they are compatible, you can cross some of these and give rise to new ones, sort of new ones. Evolutionary storks is much stronger. Yeah, I combined evolution with the stork theory of babies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Razor who's talking right now, by the way. No, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, Torvis Shepherd is saying. And I agree with you, Torvis. Your evolutionary stork theory is revolutionary. Half stork, half evolution. That's where people come from. Oh, email anthrax, you're always throwing flies in the ointment. What if the CRISPR renders the female sterile? Look, I am sure if Evelyn and I both pray during the pregnancies, that the children will come out opposite genders. Here's the thing. Here's what's interesting. Now, my baby will have the inside the womb time of a horse. So I don't know how many months that is. How many months does it take for a horse baby to come out of a horse vagina from once it gets conceived? Can somebody Google that for me? I'll Google it myself.
Oh no, I got
Damn
my
it.
phone in the car.
Having to Google it myself is such a... That just shows you what a low-class YouTuber I am. Okay, how long is horse... What's that called? Gestation. Yeah. How did you know I was going to say that, YouTube? You're so smart. I mean, Google. 11 to 12 months. Oh. So
over.
You're going to have to carry... Evelyn has to carry her baby for 9 months, but the female is going to be a little bit older, assuming you have the female baby. You need 2 human male and 2 female horses, none of which are related. No, I really like the idea of you giving birth to a centaur, Evelyn. I want Talking with Famous People to be there on the scene, live streaming as you give birth to a centaur.
I mean, is that not a goal?
If Rachel doesn't want me looking, then I can stand behind a curtain and she can describe which is coming out of your vagina, and I can then relay it to the people with some additional color commentary. I could be like the person back in the studio goes, that sounds like an awful scene there, Rachel. And you go, sure is, Eric.
Mm-hmm. We'd be good at that.
Well, Tech Girl Tiffany, you tell me a better way to make a centaur. Huh? Anyway, I think that's about it for this live stream. Evelyn, you've got some work cut out for you, so you go get out there to your local fields and pick yourself a stallion, okay?
Okay, I have a question for you.
What's that?
What I really am craving peanuts right now. Should I get the shelled or not shelled?
Oh, whatever I think the shelled are better usually.
Me too. Then it's the shells. I'm gonna be eating all the shelled ones.
You're afraid my dad's gonna be mad if you eat all the shelled. Well, you might be right. Maybe you shouldn't.
I'm not going to.
We do need to go to the store and get ourselves more coffee. Maybe we could get some shelled peanuts there too.
Okay.
What if it comes out reverse centaur?
Oh no.
Human body, horse head? Oh, that's... Okay, in cases of reverse centaur, abortion is morally permissible.
Oh!
I'm gonna make an argument here that in cases of reverse centaur, abortion is morally permissible. Oh yeah, that would be a terrible disaster if you had reverse centaur. All right, goodbye everybody. Thanks for being here.
Bye.